Whoever sees this and subscribes right now will get free height. I'm just kidding. Short people have feelings too. What's going on, Hilltop Mafia? It's Lloyd, Knox Hill. We're back with our reaction series. So today, man, like Santa Claus coming in the middle of the night. No, I'm not talking about with mom to make some new Christmas gifts. We have a brand new ERB. So this right here, right now is none other than Charlemagne versus Napoleon. But before I get any further, listen, I want to give a quick shout out to the Patreon guys. If you like the content and everything I put out on this channel, you want to support, come join our Patreon community and family. More content, all kinds of stuff on there. If you want to join us, I'll put all links down there. But anyways, know what we're here for. ERB, step back up to the plate. Let's see what you got. Let's go.
Charlemagne!
Lloyd!
Napoleon! Who's the conquering king par excellence? Who fathered his own renaissance and gave birth to fun? It is I, Charles the Great, son of Pepin the Short, torturing this overblown war, horny backwards forcing Corsican. The Pope's died, the Holy Roman Empire established it. It lasted 1,000 years until you pranced up and savaged it. Egypt, Haiti, Spain, your campaigns are too elaborate. Your bubble-loving empire popped like an aberhit. I struck the fear of God in every land I take, leaving pagans quaking, making them do the Charlem shake. The bloody verdict of this battle has already been decided, like the love between you and Josephine is one-sided.
Oh, Charlemagne, you Queen's Carolingian.
Oh, the shots already fired by the Holy Roman Emperor himself. We got some bars on this. I'll tell you what, there was like a little bit of a tongue roll there from Epic Lloyd, just like really getting into the characterization with the delivery as well. Let's go. Let it rain.
Napoleon! Who's the conquering king par excellence? Who fathered his own renaissance and gave birth to fun? It is
I like how he pronounces excellence, right? Because obviously he's battling a Frenchman, but during Charlemagne's Holy Roman Empire, which as he referenced and swagged out, referenced over 1,000 years domination and controlled France, he's trying to put Napoleon in his place right now.
Who's the conquering king?
Because notice how he sets this up, because we all know Napoleon also, like Charlemagne, tried to conquer and subjugate Europe.
Who fathered his own renaissance and gave birth to fun? It is
I mean, that's another bar and a half right there. So, like, the Holy Roman Empire had its own Carolingian Renaissance, which basically set precedent and gave way for the actual Renaissance, which came later, but they helped to preserve classical Greek and Italian texts. Also, like, standardized curriculums, helped with, obviously, the study of the liberal arts. He built a bunch of schools and monasteries. So you have like a smaller Renaissance that happened. But what was key, though, and really helped Enlightenment in Europe in later years was actually the Carolingian minuscule, which was the fonts that he's referencing here. Because back then, like a lot of texts were written in all caps. Like they didn't have a concept of lowercase. Also, like a lot of words were put together. There wasn't a concept of like spacing. Like this is how you arrange text so that it's more easily readable, so that's more easily transcribable. Like they didn't have capitalization, and they didn't have a standardized use of like exclamation and grammar and punctuation as well. So it really like set up a standard format for how writings and scripts were to be and organize them so people could understand them and scholars could share them more easily. So it really did like kind of lay the foundations for what would later be the true Renaissance.
Who's the conquering king par excellence? Who fathered his own renaissance and gave birth to fun? It
Right
is
there.
I, Charles the Great, son of Pepin the Short, torturing.
He was the son of Pepin the Short, torturing. Pepin liked to torture. And yeah, Charlemagne liked to torture too. He'd like to kill you, especially if you weren't Christian.
This overblown war, horny backwards forcing Corsican. The Pope's
Overblown war horny. He's talking about, obviously, Napoleon loved to go to war and loved his battles, but that's kind of like the pot calling the kettle black. But bicorn, that's the hat that he's wearing, sporting Corsican. I love how he references that too, because what's interesting about the history of the island of Corsica is that it was once Italian. And when Napoleon was born, wasn't that the same year that Corsica changed hands because it was run by the city-state, was it Venice? The Venetian city-state? I think so. And they couldn't afford it, so they sold it to the French, and then the French took it over. But Mr. France himself, Napoleon, well, his origins really lie in Italian roots.
the Pope's died, the Holy Roman Empire established it. It lasted.
Love that little pop-out. Pope's eyes saved him. Roman Empire established it because he used the power of the Pope, right? That's why it's called the Holy Roman Empire, because the Pope is who crowned him, and he used his religious authority, and then he tried to convert the Saxons, tried to convert the Lombards, tried to convert the Franks, all to Christianity, right? Hence, Holy Roman Empire. But the Pope at the time, Pope Leo III, saved his eyes because they actually tried to gouge his eyes out. They tried to cut his tongue and gouge his eyes out. They attacked him in Rome. So then he had to send his bodyguards down to defend him and look after him because obviously he used the power of religion and sort of that divine right of rule to back his claim to the throne. And also, yeah, I mean, he was a badass military leader too, and had a lot of military power.
Lasted 1,000 years until you pranced up and savaged Egypt, Haiti, Spain. Your campaigns are too elaborate.
Interesting bars there too with the Egypt, Haiti, and Spain. Those are 3 campaigns that Napoleon lost, right? The Haitian slave revolt and rebellion. Napoleon tried to put that down. He lost that. Haiti became a free state at the time. Spain as well. He was actually going to Spain to help Spain fight the Portuguese off. And then when he got to Spain, he was like, oh, this looks nice. Oh, there's some nice weather down here. I'm just going to make myself at home. And then establish his family as rule over that. And then he dealt with guerrilla warfare. And the British helped out and the Portuguese as well. And that's the origins of guerrilla warfare through Spain. Because that's what they used at the time to really like wear out the French army and to win that campaign. So he lost there as well. And then Africa, he got his ass kicked by the British. And Horatio Nelson, Admiral Nelson, didn't just beat his ass at the Battle of Trafalgar, beat his ass in Egypt as well, and just wrecked the French fleet.
To elaborate, your bubble of an empire popped like an overhit. I struck the fear of God in every land I take, leaving pagan.
There's a little, I love that, sort of like chanting in the back of the mix. But right here, this is my favorite bar so far.
1,000 years until you pranced up and savaged Egypt, Haiti, Spain. Your campaigns are too elaborate. Your bubble of an empire popped like an overhit.
Your bubble of an empire. And that's set up by the 1,000 years. Because his flex there is, I built an empire that lasted 1,000 years. Your empire couldn't even last during your lifetime. I mean, how's that for a flex? Just a little bubble. It just popped for a little bit, and then it went away. And isn't it funny, though, how much history really remembers and talks about how great of a mastermind and military general Napoleon was when, you know, Charlemagne, that's a hell of a flex. Yeah, 1,000 years. How you doing? But ABBA, when they hit it big on Eurovision, this is why the bar is great, right? The Battle of Waterloo. Waterloo, where the Duke of Wellington defeated Napoleon's last infamous defeat. ABBA had a song referencing Napoleon, referencing the Battle of Waterloo. And that song is what blew them up. So much so that they made a studio album after, titled Waterloo. All ties in. What a flex.
I struck the fear of God in every land I take, leaving pagans quaking, making them do the Harlem Shake. Bloody
obviously the Harlem Shake, Charlemagne versus doing the Harlem Shake. Come on.
of this battle is a
and pagans quaking because, again, like, hey, you either want to convert to Christianity or I'm just going to behead you and we'll keep it moving.
Land I take, leaving pagans quaking, making them do the Harlem Shake. The bloody verdict of this battle has already been decided. Like the love between you and Josephine is one-sided. Oh, shut.
Josephine could not bear Napoleon children, and he was thinking about his legacy. One of the reasons why they ended up getting divorced, and she was actually okay with the divorce. But also, there were rumors at the time, and I even remember when we watched the Napoleon movie, right, that she had taken on other lovers. So Napoleon never stopped loving her, never stopped maintaining contact. He still basically paid the bills afterwards, right? He was fulfilling the prenup back in the days when there was no prenup, and he was the emperor. He didn't have to do anything. So what he's saying there is, you know, you love this woman, and yet she had no problem running around sleeping with other men, and yeah, seems pretty one-sided. That's trying to just get under your opponent's skin right there.
Struck the fear of God in every land I take, leaving pagans quaking, making them do the Harlem Shake. The bloody verdict of this battle has already been decided. Like the love.
You hear again, boom. I love some of these like just marching drums at the very beginning, and some of these more like cinematic drums underneath just adds a little bit of an edge to the production, right? Like we're going off to battle and war because you have two bloody rulers.
Quaking, making them do the Harlem Shake. The bloody verdict of this battle has already been decided. Like the love between you and Josephine is one-sided.
Oh, Charlemagne, you Queen's Carolingian charlatan. I'm the genuine article military artisan. You're a clanky old suit of armor. A bomber, the janky monarch of the Franks and the Lombards. Your dire sword cohorts asunder, but war's a bit more are gone. Now the deals have 4 numbers. That is canister shot, and you receive those balls when I blast you with my 12-pounder Griever ball. Le petit copperer, here to get my groove on. Even if I lose, I come back and get my cool on. I'll subdue you brutally like a royalist in Toulon. I'm the smoothest French thing in Grey seems poop on.
Oh, that flow! You can't quite rug it!
Great poupon bars. Let's go, man. Again, shout out to Nice Peter, right? We got a little bit of like the French accent, just like the gruff voice and style of delivery. I don't know if like that's what Napoleon's voice was supposed to sound like, and maybe you read that somewhere. He's like, all right, I'm gonna channel this type of intonation with my delivery.
Quaking, making them do the Charlemagne shake. The bloody verdict of this battle has already been decided. Like the love between you and Josephine.
Some of these looks are priceless.
Oh, Charlemagne, you Queen's Carolingian charlatan.
I love the CCC alliteration. You cringe Carolingian charlatan. Talk it.
I'm the genuine article military artisan. You're
Nice.
a clanky old suit of armor. A bombard, the janky monarch of the Franks and the Lombards. You're joyous.
Bombard the Franks and the Lombards. Obviously, the Lombards in Italy. The Franks, like how Charlemagne first conquered them. Well, Napoleon also conquered similar areas. And the way that he's setting this up is like, you know, you're old school. I'm the new. I'm progression, right? You're running around in a suit of armor. I got cannonballs. How are those balls doing? Get those in your hand.
The old suit
Roast those over the fire for Christmas.
armor. A bombard, the janky monarch of the Franks and the Lombards. Your joyous sword cohorts are
That's like a hidden bar right there. Your joyous sword, because he's holding his sword right there. Because in French, wasn't it joyeux or joyous? Like it translated to joyous, basically. So that was literally the name of his sword that he rode out into battle. It's very joyous. Just blood everywhere. Violence is fun.
thunder, but was a bit more hardcore. Now the deals have 4 numbers. That is canister shot, and you
Obviously, Charlemagne was around in like 800 ADs. Before, years had 4 numbers on them, right? Napoleon's time. Again, that's more of your old school. I'm the new. Move aside.
the thunder, but was a bit more hardcore. Now the deals have 4 numbers. That is canister shot, and you receive those balls when I blast you with my 12-pounder Griever ball.
Gribeauval's. What's interesting about that is Jean-Baptiste Gribeauval, right? He was a great military artilleryman in France, and he kind of revolutionized the French artillery. And it was like perfect timing because Napoleon was obviously considered a mastermind tactically, but he took full advantage. There's an argument to be made that without Gribeauval, Napoleon never really rises up and has the same domination because, you know, especially warfare through the years, it's not just about obviously who has the biggest army, but who has the most technological advancement. And this was like a huge advancement in artillery warfare at the time, in the organization of French artillery, which Napoleon took full advantage of and used that to his advantage. And a lot of countries after that tried to adapt that system and tried to learn from French artillery. And some of his greatest battles involve that. So hence those bars and just kind of using that. And then obviously the balls, artillery, cannonballs versus coming for your testes right there and your kid makers.
Joyous sword cohorts are thunder, but was a bit more hardcore. Now the deals have 4 numbers. That is canister shot, and you receive those balls when I blast you with my 12-pounder Griever ball. Le petit copperer, here to get my groove on. Even
Hear the little beat switch up right there as he gets his groove on. But Le Petit Corporal, the small corporal. I mean, Napoleon was what, like 5'6"? So he wasn't as short as like people paint him out to be. But again, me being 6 foot and 5'6" is still pretty short, isn't it? I mean, it must suck having short people syndrome. Like you're always just like looking up at the world, you know?
I blast you with my 12-pounder Griever ball. Le petit copperer, here to get my groove on. Even if I lose,
There's a classic Napoleon quote right
I
there.
can get my cool on.
And he did lose, right? He got exiled, came back from the island, and started a coup and came back into power. And he likes to get his coup on.
You brutally like a royalist in Toulon. I'm the smoothest French thing in Grey seems poop on.
That's why he's wearing the coat, because the smoothest thing in gray. So gray poupon, the famous French mustard, versus his gray overcoat there, like the classic Napoleon look. He's even doing the classic Napoleon pose, isn't he? Yeah, that is. That's a reference to Napoleon portraits as well. Obviously, we're doing a little dance and a jig off to the side. Gotta love some of the movements. And then before that, how far back do I have to go on the keyframe? There it is. Like a royalist in Toulon. Toulon, the siege of Toulon, when you had the royalists in the French Revolution, and you had royalists who were still loyal to the monarchy and who wanted to restore the monarchy. And the British tried to help them in Toulon. So you had the royalists down there. Napoleon was sent down there, and he wasn't as renowned at the time, but that siege of Toulon, when he used the artillery, and he was given so much credit for that, and breaking that siege and sending back the British, that was like a pivotable, that's an amazing word. I'm going to put that in my word of the day. I make up words now. I do whatever I want. But basically, that was a turning point for Napoleon, right? Because that is what really started to catapult him to French renown and French fame as a just great military mind.
Even if I lose, I come back and get my coup on. I'll subdue you brutally, like a royalist in Toulon. I'm the smoothest French thing in Grey seems poop on.
Oh, that's flow! You can't quite rock it! That must be why you keep your hand like that! No pocket! You're nothing but a whiny little egotistic swine! You got sunk by a Brit with a bullet in his spine! And your Russian debacle was even worse! You got beat by lice! You should have been listening to elementary school nurse! People still place my name next to God! Charlemagne! Now pretend I'm Moscow and retreat from these flames!
Keep the violent poison around my neck and kiss of cancer.
Oh, that is
Pretend I'm
dope.
Moscow and retreat!
Oh, yeah, I like the switch up too. And you just hear like the church choir like chanting in the back of the mix. All right, let's break down some of these. I like this verse.
Poop on.
Oh, that's flow! You can't quite rock it! That must be why you keep your hand like that! No pocket!
Right, that flow. That's a little MC's bar right there. Because we call the flow that you take on a beat the pocket in which you sit. Like where you sit in between the percussion and the instrumentation. We refer to that as a pocket. Versus like Napoleon's pocket in the way that he's posing. Always having like his hand in, no pocket. And that's referencing that portrait that I said before. And like a lot of scholars over the years speculated like, well, less scholars, because if you actually study it, you know that was just like the trend at the time to pose like that. But a lot of people argued like that Napoleon had a deformity that he was trying to hide, that he had a medical issue, and that's why he was always caught posing that way. But really, it was actually like the trends of the time and like just the caricature for portraits to be drawn in that way and just to pose in that way, much in the same way that duck lips kind of dominates, unfortunately, today. Yeah, shit happens.
Oh, that's flow! You can't quite rock it! That must be why you keep your hand like that! No pocket! You're nothing but a whiny little egotistic swine! You got sunk by a Brit with a bullet in his spine!
Obviously, that's the Battle of Trafalgar, right? Horatio Nelson wiped the floor with Napoleon, and that was the whole reason why Napoleon and the Navy got rocked, and they couldn't go and try to conquer Britain, who ended up being his ultimate arch nemesis in the end. But Horatio Nelson was shot in that battle, bullet in his spine, but he managed to hear of the British victory before he died.
Nothing but a whiny little egotistic swine! You got sunk by a Brit with a bullet
Even sunk, like your plans got sunk versus ship sinking because it was a naval battle.
in his spine! And your Russian debacle was even worse! You got beat by lice! You should have been listening to elementary school nurse! People...
The Russian debacle and the lice. I'm going to let this run because that still ties in with his Moscow bars.
Place my name next to God! Charlemagne!
Charlemagne the God, shout out from Charlemagne the God, known in hip hop today, but you can see where he gets his name from. The original Charlemagne the God was this Charlemagne.
To Moscow and retreat from these flames!
That's a bar. Pretend I'm Moscow and retreat from these flames. The flames that I'm spitting versus Moscow. So when Napoleon tried to conquer Russia, and it's like Hitler never learned from that either, but the vastness of Russia. Napoleon actually won a key battle in Russia, and then they marched on Moscow, but what the Russians did that was very clever was winter was coming. Hello, Game of Thrones. And they just burned their capital, which Napoleon never thought that they would do. Retreat from the flames, and then Napoleon was cut off from his supply lines, had no idea what to do, and was like, well, fuck it, let's try to get back to France in time, which was ultimately a tragic decision. He had like 500,000 troops and like lost the greater majority of them on the way back to starvation, to freezing. They were harassed by guerrilla warfare, by the Cossacks the whole time, right? A lot of them suffered from malnutrition. They suffered from lice, hence the lice bar, and like kids in elementary school getting lice and passing it around. Like you should have just brought some doctors with you, right? If you really wanted to save your army. But ultimately that retreat and that humiliation led to the first exile of Napoleon.
Poison around my neck and
You got beat by lice! You should have been listening to elementary school nurse! People
Even he's scratching himself right there. Come
still
on.
place my name next to God! Charlemagne! Now pretend to Moscow and retreat from these flames!
kept the violent poison around my neck in case of capture. And I almost just drank it. You are that bad of a rapper. And I thank you is E. Your loss is real because E. Like the Alps in winter with your pregnant wife, you shouldn't cross me. When I conquer, I don't need a pumped hand. I grip a diamond drift hilt and put your crown on myself. The only throne you belong on is the latrine. You might be king of the Franks, but you can suck beans.
Oh, whoa! Holster! You decide! Oh, Bottles of victory!
The latrine just told him to sit on his porcelain throne. Come on. What's happening? Are we done?
Sponsored by 2K.
I need some glow sticks.
Build an empire that stands the test of time. With gorgeous detail and lavish design. Evolve your empire as each new age dawn. With the revolutionary new civilization. Civilization 7. My civilization 7. Strategy.
Why instead of civilization did I keep hearing syphilis? That's fun.
It's diplomacy
Give it to your neighbor.
and war. Explore a world brought to life like never before. Got your booty on my gold wing cutie. Meet the Incas and get all that booty. Players, visionary leaders of progress. Rise to the duty with me, Patrick Cootie. Big Ben Franklin, if you've got scores to settle.
Bars.
Go to multiplayer and test your metal. You can play cross-platform as me. Xbox, PlayStation, Mac, Switch, and PC. It's a collector's edition that's physical collectibles. Players who play with a link, 2K account will receive Napoleon Bonaparte's Emperor Persona as an exclusive reward. Sell me Missouri. Oh, misery I have in Spain.
Bar. Missouri, misery. Come on, the Louisiana Purchase. And actually, calling back to Haiti, right? In that defeat in Haiti, because of that, Napoleon was embarrassed. And then that kind of just ruined his aspirations for the New World and like trying to take more control in the Americas. So to avoid that humiliation, that's when the Louisiana Purchase happened. And then he could help fund his wars back in Europe. One of the best promos I've ever seen. All right, we got to bring it back and break down these final Napoleon bars. Let's go.
Charlemagne, now pretend to Moscow and retreat from these flames.
Kept a violent poison around my neck in case of capture. And I almost just drank it. You are that bad of a rapper.
Right, I almost just off myself. We get that bar, but he did actually, was it after the Russian defeat when he decided to keep the vial of poison with him in case he got captured? I think so. I'm just trying to connect that timeline.
Violent poison around my neck in case of capture. And I almost just drank it. You are that bad of a rapper. And I thank you with ease. Your loss is real big.
Obviously, like him being a military genius, known for his outflanking maneuvers, so he'll outflank you with ease. And then you see him literally outflanking Charlemagne there.
And I almost just drank it. You are that bad of a rapper. And I thank you with ease. Your loss is real because me. Like the Alps in winter with your pregnant wife, you shouldn't cross me.
So when he crossed the Alps, Charlemagne, to conquer the Lombards in Italy, right, he took his pregnant wife with him. And unfortunately, she gave birth to his daughter, and they lost their daughter on the return journey. So that's another one of those just bars that's just really meant personally to get under your opponent's skin. And even like crossing the Alps versus crossing Napoleon, trying to battle him. Even the religious references of the Holy Roman Empire, like crossing Charlemagne.
Around my neck in case of capture. And I almost just drank it. You are that bad of a rapper. And I thank you with ease. Your loss is real because me. Like the Alps in winter with your pregnant wife, you shouldn't cross me. When I conquer, I don't need a pumped hand. I grip a diamond.
He even did like the French. Yeah.
In winter with your
Sacre bleu.
pregnant wife, you shouldn't cross me. When I conquer, I don't need a pumped hand. I grip a diamond drip hill.
All right, I'm going to have to do this. This isn't for Napoleon's day. This is for, well, relatively more recent times. So I was on eBay the other day. Saw an advertisement for a French World War II battle rifle. You know, it said, French rifle, perfect condition, never used, dropped once.
Your pregnant wife, you shouldn't cross me. When I conquer, I don't need a pumped hand. I grip a diamond drip hilt and put your crown on myself. The only throne you belong on is the latrine. You might be king.
Obviously, throne you belong on is the latrine. He's talking about his porcelain throne versus him like being on the throne, the emperor. And right here's another bar.
Diamond drip hilt and put your crown on myself.
Put your crown on myself, right? I'm going to take your crown. Much in the same way like rappers try to take each other's crowns if you say that you're at the top and competition in the spirit of that. So that's like a little bit of a battle rap bar versus Napoleon actually took, during his coronation, the crown from the Pope. Didn't wait for the Pope to put it on his head. No, he grabbed it and went, yep, king me. Now, thank you very much.
On this throne you belong on is the latrine. You might be king of the Franks, but you can suck beans.
So the latrine bar sets up the suck beans. Obviously, beans are good for your heart. The more you eat, the more you fart. Right? Might be king of the Franks. Franks and beans is a dish. Sausages, so you can suck on these sausages and then suck on these beans, these cannonballs as well. So that's the beans, like 3 different layers right there. And even like French Franks, come on.
Throne you belong on is the latrine. You might be king of the Franks, but you can suck beans. Ho, whoa, holster, don't just hard. Oh, bark, rock. Bottles of victory!
I'll tell you what, man, I was not expecting an ERB, and it was nice to get like a more historical ERB. You guys know I love history. I studied it, man. So like anytime we could take like the world of hip hop and rap battles and combine it with history, oh, you know that I'm here for it. Who won this battle? I feel like there were some good bars and good disses on both sides. I love the way that both of them, like, again, the voiceovers, like the intonation, the personality they injected into the deliveries of these. Like they really got into character well. But I think, I think maybe I just like some of the bars from Charlemagne better. I think I'll just edge this one to Charlemagne a little bit. But anyways, ERB, you were Knox Hill certified. Hope you guys liked today's video. Listen, for some reason you're here at the end. Obviously enjoy the content. Do me a huge favor, support the channel directly. Subscribe, notifications on. Really does go a long way. Also, don't forget to cop the merch, knoxhillmusic.com. We got bars, gotta catch them all shirts. We got Black Chaos hats. We got hoodies, everything that you need. If you want to rep the brand, if you want to get it out there, it all goes a long way. I'll put all links down there. But anyways, stay safe, protect these. I love you guys. I'll catch you again soon.
Sit down, sit down. I like